Watch Dogs Legion is an indirect sequel to Watch Dogs 2 released in 2016 and was a very different game than Watch Dogs 1. While the gameplay in my opinion became a bit more interesting, the story was very forgettable. The game lost its dark undertone and decided to just throw it out the window to opt for a game that doesn't take itself as serious. So it's only logical that Watch Dogs Legion does the same, and yes, it does continue this trend. The story is pretty simple. Big bad guy blows up London and you have to find out who it is and stop all the other bad guys, and it's not super deep. Mainly because of the approach that they've gone for with the new different characters that you can choose and add to your team. I should know by the way that I'm basing this video on 8 hours of story gameplay so far and about 20 hours of general playtime with some variety of different things that I have done within the game. In terms of the world, I have to say that I personally feel that it's yet another typical Ubisoft open world game. With this I mean that the world feels more like it's a backdrop for missions rather than being a live and vibrant world that you would want to be a part of. There lacks some ambient noises as well as NPCs having conversations with each other or on the phone or any sort of that type of stuff that makes you curious to see what is going on, like following an NPC who was having a conversation like you would for example have in GTA when you're walking through a park and you have people doing yoga or having conversations or having that weird random phone call about how someone got busted with Dan Kush last night. The world of Watch Dogs Legion just simply seems to be there, mainly to place gameplay elements in there, and that's kind of it. Cars feel more like they're tools rather than being part of the world, mainly because they all seem to really handle the same, and supercars don't really feel that much faster than a taxi cab, for example. I'm sure they do go faster, but there really isn't a sense of speed. Another example I can give you is Piccadilly Circus, one of the busiest places in London, and it feels like a ghost town to me. If you've ever been to the real place, you would know there's always people sitting on the monument, having a bite to eat, taking pictures, etc, etc. You know, a very busy and alive place. There's a lot going on. But if you compare it to what's going on in the game, it just really isn't there. And allow me to show you some raw gameplay of what I mean. The real reason that you know it's London is because of the landmarks that are there, and it doesn't really have character. It doesn't really feel alive. It doesn't really feel like it wants you to be within the world and explore things. And it's a shame. And it really is a shame. I know this sounds pretty harsh, and maybe I'm just too spoiled with all the hours of GTA I've played in the world that I've basically gotten used to. But it still kind of baffles me that after so many years and games Ubisoft have brought out, they never really figured out how to make an open world that is interesting and that you want to be a part of. And especially that you don't want to fast travel everywhere, because again, it's another Ubisoft open world game where it's littered with ways to go fast travel. And I know this is obviously all very optional, but if you want to take, for example, a GTA approach where you can still fast travel, but you have to use taxis. Why can we not go with taxis inside of a game set in London? It's literally one of the most iconic things about London, going into a taxi. There's the London Underground, but you can't really explore it because you just go there, you're essentially just at a set of stairs, you go up and bam, you're at your destination. There's so much more that they could have done to make London feel like an authentic experience. There aren't many games out there that have dare to even go and use London as an open world game. So Ubisoft really had an opportunity to make an authentic London experience, and I feel that they really missed the ball with that. There really isn't much of a vibe going on. Now, I'm personally not from London. I've been there a few times, but to give you another example, Camden High Street, which is a very busy kind of shopping area where there's a lot going on, from street artists to, you know, any sort of kind of clothing shops, there's a market, etc, etc. In the game, it's like, whoa, it exists, it's there, you can kind of recognize it, but that's kind of it. So it kind of feels like they more use all these landmarks and stuff like that to be like, oh man, when I was in London or when I live in London, I recognize this. And that kind of seems like the only reason why London is there, I guess. There isn't really any sort of vibes to it, which I personally feel is kind of lacking. Maybe I'm being a little bit too picky about this, and obviously, you know, if you feel differently, feel free to let me know. But this is just kind of what I feel about the world, but not to harp on it too much, and let's just kind of move on about some of the things that I actually really did like about Watch Dogs Legion, which is the gameplay. And luckily, there's plenty of gameplay to go through, because that is really where Watch Dogs Legion shines, the gameplay. With the addition of the new character system, you can recruit basically everyone on the street, whether that's a granny on her way to the shop or a certified hacker man. Anyone can really be a part of your team, and this gives immediately also what the best part is about Watch Dogs Legion, because this simply opens up a lot of opportunities on how you can approach situation. You can decide to sneak into an area as a police officer, or you can decide to call in your cargo drone and fly to the roof. And then you can decide to either sneak your way to the objective, or you can use any of your other gadgets to stay out of sight. And this kind of variety and freedom within missions makes it interesting and fun to play. The list is very long about all the different kind of abilities that you do have, and while not every single character is going to be completely unique, there is still a lot of abilities within all these characters that can make it an interesting experience to have like a wide variety of them and try to collect as many unique ones as possible. Some of them are marked on your map with even specific and more broad kind of abilities, and it really kind of makes the world at least feel like there's always something going on, while not directly being while you're walking from point A to B, but more so stuff on the map itself. Watch Dogs Legion really just builds on what the previous Watch Dogs games made fun to play and expands upon it by adding and improving aspects of it. And while it's nothing revolutionary, if you're someone who enjoyed the previous Watch Dogs games, then you will definitely enjoy this one too. Maybe even more, especially because of the new character system. It offers a lot of mindless fun, and it doesn't take itself very serious. And if you're looking for a game that's just simply about having some mindless laughs and fun in them, then Watch Dogs Legion will definitely be the perfect fit for you. It's an open world game that doesn't take itself super serious and simply is there to do in a video game what you always like to do in a video game. Having some good old-fashioned fun. But those are just some of my thoughts. Of course, I would love to know what you think down in the comment section down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe for more, and I'll see you all later.